Hello and welcome to Gladys Cake Kitchen. Today's video I'm going to be taking you through the raw movement of layering and even cake layers, turning them into a level straight standing cake with sharp edges. Along the way, I'll also show you some decorating issues like when jam leaks from in between your cake layers and how to carefully fix these for better results. This video is packed with tips to empower you with confidence even on your most challenging cake decorating days. So without having to waste your time, let's jump right in. Uneven cake layers are mostly a result of inaccurate leveling of a cake. Bear in mind, cakes can be baked in layers without having to level them. Leveling, also known as torting, refers to splitting or slicing a cake into equal layers. When this is not done properly, the layers may be left uneven, which may result in an unevenly built cake. The choice of baking layers to level or not to level them is based purely on preference, but I like to level my cakes because I bake in 4-inch deep cake tins. This cake, though, was an eggless recipe, meaning the rise of the cake itself was limited, resulting in these uneven layers. When stacked on top of each other, there is an obvious slant from the top of the cake, and for comparison, these chocolate cake layers are level when set on top of each other. Work starts on my cake board over which a dollop of ganache is applied. This serves as glue to hold an 8-inch cake drum, which is the same diameter of the cake layers. A cake card or circle can be used for this, but a drum ensures stability. Over the cake drum, ganache is again applied before the first layer of cake is placed. The cake is filled with buttercream using an ice cream scoop to ensure even layers. The buttercream is spread using an offset spatula dipped in hot water. This ensures easy spread of the buttercream. Jam is added as a soft filling, hence a hole is made in the middle of the buttercream to hold in the jam. Admittedly, this isn't the best way to fill jam into your cakes, but a more effective way of doing this is detailed in a tutorial linked below for you to check out. Jam done and another cake layer placed, the cake is filled again and a third layer of cake is added. The buttercream edging from inside the cake is scraped clean and the layers checked and shifted into place. When the fourth layer of cake is added, I realized the first layer of cake wasn't filled properly with the jam, and with the weight of the towering layers, the jam begins to leak from between the first and second layers of cake. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I should know better, and yes, I do. But I can say cake making can be a little bit unpredictable, so perhaps that's what's happened here. So unpredictable, in fact, that this has happened before, and a similar leak that happened on a cake I was able to turn around. I'll leave the link up here for you to watch, but hear me on this one. This particular cake I was making was an entirely new experience for me, not perhaps for the decorating process itself, but for the cake. This was an eggless vanilla cake recipe, and I would find out that the layers were slightly heavier than your regular vanilla cake, which meant that handling and dealing with the cake, I was not able to predict the outcome of the filling process until I was actually in the middle of it. With that said, I realized that the buttercream could have been a little less than what was used, which is fine, but the intention for using more buttercream was simply because I knew I was going to dig out the middle part, which meant that nearly half of the buttercream was going to be gone. Clearly that didn't work, and I'll probably not recommend this procedure for filling your jam into cakes. I have a complete beginner-friendly tutorial here showing you how you should effectively fill your cakes properly, so perhaps go watch that and follow the proper steps, because that will give you the best outcome for your cakes. Having said that, though, the real issue I am probably having with these cake fixes is not because of technique. I've done cakes a few years now, so having the technique and doing the cake right is something I can confidently do. However, when I'm filming these cakes that end up as tutorials, one of the key things is that I am working on a few other cakes at the same time, so my workflow and tasks are a lot, so time is not usually on my side, and organizing can be very tricky. For instance, for this cake, I could have employed a piping bag to create the border which would hold in the jam, but I didn't fancy the extra task of faffing about with piping bags, tips, and all of that. I say that to say that yes, it is cutting corners that has brought me here, but for you, my recommendation is that you perhaps follow the process diligently and take on just enough that you can work with at a time to guarantee your very best result. Not following my task diligently and the process obviously has created some of these issues with me. So perhaps moving forward, I'll make sure that I have less to do at a time and I'll follow my processes very diligently. But that is just by the way. Let's get back to cake. Back to my work table. The leek is proving problematic, but I'm only one layer away from finishing, so I decided to complete the filling process before focusing on fixing the leek. Another thing to note here is that the buttercream was quite stable, which meant I was confident about fixing the leek later. I would have taken a completely different approach if the buttercream was soft and unstable, like this cake right here. I have linked a video of this cake below for you to watch how I fixed this cake when it fell apart thanks to some unstable buttercream. To fix the leek though, first the cake was wrapped in cling film. This helps to steady the cake and traps in moisture when the cake is set to chill. The cake was chilled for up to 4 hours because I had some tasks to attend to, but an hour or two should be fine to set the cake firm. Occasionally though, I have left the cake chilled overnight. After 4 hours in the fridge, the cake is brought back and unwrapped. The buttercream and cake layers are now set firm, preventing the leek from running. But the channel of the leek still has to be fixed and closed off. If not, the same leak issues may arise when the cake is at room temperature. To do this, the cake is trimmed to rid of the crust for a cleaner look and to expose the leek. I trim my cakes and have explained why I do this in several of my videos linked below for you. The cake is trimmed down and the leek is cut into to expose it. Our cake is set ready to be crumb coated. To crumb coat the cake, ganache is spread on top and around the cake to seal in all the crumbs before subsequent layers of ganache is added for a polished look. Ganache sets firm, so helps to close off the leek, preventing further issues in the process, and that's our leek sorted. To achieve my initial goal of a straight standing level cake from uneven cake layers, a cake drum wrapped in plastic is placed on top of the cake to align with the bottom drum. This is first checked by using a scraper. Then a right-angled ruler is used to ensure alignment by first setting the bottom of the ruler to sit flush on the surface board on which the cake stands. The ruler is standing vertically against the cake whilst gradually being moved parallel against the edges of the top and bottom drums. In case of misalignment, the cake is shifted slightly into place, and if aligned properly, the ruler should move smoothly around the cake. A spirit level is then employed to confirm the cake is level before crumb coating continues. The ganache is applied onto the cake until the cake is fully covered. A scraper is used to take away any excess and uneven pocket filled and scraped again. Scraping the cake is done slowly and carefully to ensure the cake drums are still aligned and to prevent the plastic on the top drum tearing. The crumb coat is done and the cake is left to set first, which should keep the crumbs locked in. It will be brought back later for more layers of ganache. The cake is back for another layer of ganache, which is applied to coat the entire cake and any excess removed. The process of adding and removing ganache is repeated until the cake is completely polished. Once done, the cake is again left to set for 15 to 20 minutes. Our cake is back for the plastic covered drum to be removed. A knife is used to cut through the plastic, which is held to the drum with a sellotape. The drum is lifted to reveal the top of the cake. The knife is then dipped in hot water and used to shave off any ganache hanging off the edge of the cake. Any pocket holes on the top of the cake is then filled in with ganache and a scraper used to clean that out. The side of the cake is scraped for a final polish and the cake is now left to chill again. Notice the top of the cake appears unpolished. This will be brought back to be cleaned again with a knife, leaving a clean, polished and level, steady cake. Our cake is done now, and as you can see, a polished cake like this is the foundation for a well-polished cake, whether it is to be presented in a ganache or buttercream finish. This makes for a completely polished iced fondant cake too. The video showing on screen will hand you more tips on how to fix your cake when it falls apart thanks to unstable buttercream on a hot weather day. Tap to watch and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.